Hello and welcome back, and today I'm going to be trying to recreate this projector. So that's a photo of what I'm going to be trying to recreate. So I have my shoebox, and mine is a pretty small shoebox, but it still worked out pretty good. And I saw a ton of things saying that it needed to be painted black on the inside for it to be better projected. I don't know. So I did that on the outside and then painted it all the way, did the bottom, and then started working on the sides. And this paint was pretty good. It was a little bit streaky, so I had to go back through it a few times. And as you can see, I just globbed it on, poured a bit of paint on each side, and then painted it on. And then after I finished off that, I worked on the top part of the lid. So I did the same exact thing, just globbing it on and then painting it. And it was really dangerous because I had no mat underneath me. It was just my white desk. And then after I started working on the sides, I actually grabbed a mat because I did not want to stain my white desk, which actually happened a few times. So the outside of the box was going pretty good, except for the part where it is glossy. So since it's a little bit glossier than the inside of the box, it takes a little bit extra coats. I think the outside was probably 3 coats. Painting on a little smiley face here. But so you can see on the top part here where it's a little bit streakier. So I tried to fix that up by painting up and down instead of side to side, but then I didn't realize if the paint strokes would dry that way, so I went back to side. And I just kept on globbing on paint and tried to fix it up, but then it wouldn't really fix up, so I worked on the sides to kind of give that some time to dry, and yeah, just continue working. And I didn't want to close the lid fully because I didn't want to take off any of the paint on the inside of the box from the lid. So as you can tell, it's kind of a little bit open still. And yeah, and you can see the paint is kind of drying. So I'm adding on more paint and kind of streaking a little bit of parts of it. And then after I let it sit for a little bit, went back and I did some more paint. And I think this was my final coat because it was finally getting to a point where it was pretty good. Fixing up a few little pieces and then just going back around to kind of make sure that everything is all nice and smooth and fully covered. Now I got not 1, not 2, but 3 different magnifying glasses from the Dollar Tree, because I'm saying the Dollar Tree because it's probably going to be a little bit bad quality. It's still not going to spoil it, okay? It was still pretty good. So I opened up the magnifying glass and then went into a dark room with the box and kind of just played with it. But first, before I do that, actually, I'm going to be painting some decorations on the front. And I had a lot of plans for the decorations, but then it started getting late, and then my planning for the whole how the magnifying glasses are gonna work, I ended up just doing this basic. And if you cannot guess what it is going to say, it says movies. It says movies. So after I did that kind of basic outline of where I wanted all my letters to go, I went back through with this medium, I guess, kind of size paintbrush, and then I went with the smaller green paintbrush to get everything nice and fully covered. Now this took forever, and it is really sloppy, but I knew it was going to be really sloppy because I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it perfect, and I had a plan to make that a little bit less sloppy, and it kind of worked. I don't know, you'll have to tell me in the comments if it actually worked or not. But this took forever to cover up, especially on this little part on the O. If you can see it, I don't think you really can right here. Here it is where I was just painting on. That one, it took me forever right there. It took me forever because it wouldn't cover up even after letting it sit too. So it's not like I just kept on putting paint on it and it wouldn't cover up. It was forever. But also, I knew this was gonna be messy, have a plan for it later. I loved this little green paintbrush because it was perfect for getting it. Even though it is messy, it was still pretty clean compared to what the other blue paintbrush would have been. So I'm glad I used it. Anyways, here is my plan. So I'm taking red paint and outlining all of the letters. And now you will start to see the difference between how messy it was at the M versus when you get towards, not really the S because that one had a little bit of a mess up, you'll see later, but the E. The E was probably my best letter compared to the M, and you can you can tell the difference because I also made the lines like a lot thicker. So I kept on going back, as you can see just right past there. I went back and I like fixed up the M to make the lines a little bit thicker. And this actually kind of like helped it. It helped it be a little bit smoother with all of the painting, and it made it not as messy. But you can see that E was perfect. The S had a little bit of mess up on the like turn part up above. After I did that though, I fixed it up, add some black paint to kind of fix it up even more, and then I got my magnifying glasses. So to start off, I just outlined where I wanted my magnifying glass to go, even on the lid, because I need to cut out the lid too. So cut that out, used an X-Acto knife, also cut part of the lid, and I realized that there was like these little flaps, but I'll get to that in a second. Anyways, checking that the magnifying glass fits, and it does pretty well. Here I am painting the little parts that were not painted yet because of the flaps. I also hot glued those down to make sure that they are perfectly stuck, and hot glued down the magnifying glass. And this one I wanted to make sure it was staying because it was the outside of my projector, and I thought I was only going to be using like 1 or 2 magnifying glass. No, at the beginning though, it was more, I was thinking I was going to do 1. So I outlined the inside and the outside of the hot glue, or hot glued it, I don't know. And anyways, played around for like 20 minutes to figure out where I'm going to put these magnifying glasses. Took me forever. Figured out that this was a pretty good solution to it. Popped off the handle of the first one, and on the second one, the handle was not wanting to pop off, and it was making my glass break. So I decided maybe it's a good thing. You can see I'm struggling. I heard a crack, and I did not want to do that anymore. So I just hot glued it on with the handle. Still works perfectly. And yeah, hot glued those down, and then you'll see me in a second showing you how I handled the lid right over here. Cut out the lid just a little bit so that it would fit on the handle perfectly, so it could still close a little bit to cover up all the light. And here is the final product. Now, I will say, you need to keep the phone, at least for the one I did, the phone needs to be upside down on full brightness to be the best way to work. So it needs to be upside down, full brightness, turned off the lights, and as you can tell, it's a little bit blurry. But when I back it up, it becomes less blurry. I can move the phone forward to make it a bigger picture, and the camera does not show it how clear it was. Also, it wasn't as dark out, so it works, and it's an under $5 projector, so I would call that a win. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this because it was so much fun, and I'm going to enjoy movie nights. See you next week. Bye!